to the Auburn Board of Selectmen meeting. It's 5:15 on April 13th, 2020. As a preliminary matter, this is Ken Holstrom, Chair of the Auburn Board of Selectmen. Do you hear me all right?
Get closer to your phone.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, get close to the phone.
Yeah, it's a little difficult. But permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. That's a little difficult. Julie, you haven't got the script in front of you, have you?
I do.
Okay, can you read it, because I can't read it and be able to, read it off the phone and be able to talk at the same time?
Certainly.
Would you care to do that for me, please?
Yeah, I can do that with the permission of the board. I'm happy to do that. So just keep the phone where you have it and we can hear you. So as a preliminary matter, I'm speaking on behalf of Ken Holstrom, Chair of the Auburn Board of Selectmen. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on this agenda are present and can hear me. My name's Julie Jacobson, Town Manager here in Auburn. So I'm going to start. Members, when I call your name, for those who are listening, please respond in the affirmative. Ken Holstrom.
Present.
Dan Carpenter.
Here.
Doreen Goodrich. Lionel Berthium.
Here.
Tristan LaLiberty. I will speak and say he is on his,
Here.
Tristan LaLiberty is here, just said here. Excuse me, sit right there.
Terrific, thank you.
Perfect, right there, thank you. All right, town officials and employees who are participating, I just want to, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. So myself, Town Manager Julie Jacobson, Assistant Town Manager CFO Ed Kazanovich. Okay. Administrative Assistant Sharon Kwiatkowski is watching from home and taking minutes from home, just to let everybody know. She's not participating because she doesn't have to speak, but she is watching this. And we have our Auburn Cable TV Manager, Chris, and Rich, who are here recording as well. And we have no anticipated speakers on the agenda this evening. So on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I just want to set up this remote meeting before we turn to the agenda and the chairman. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Board of Selectmen is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all meetings of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website under the Board of Selectmen page, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded, so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will allow for public comment under agenda item number 2, which is the public comment. For this meeting, the Board of Selectmen is convening by remote participation for the public only. Our building is closed to the public, although some members of the Board of Selectmen are physically located in the Selectmen's meeting room in Town Hall. Those members and employees are practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's order. For the public to join this meeting remotely by telephone, you may call 1-508-650-3123 and enter access code 235-235-861. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/235-235-861. The remote access information has been posted on our website identifying how the public can join. It's both on the agenda that was posted and now on the Board of Selectmen's page. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Accordingly, those members of the Board of Selectmen, employees, and members of the public who participate, please, just a reminder that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials have been provided to members that we provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda on our website. So I'm going to turn it to the chairman, Mr. Holstrom, who will go to the first item on the agenda. And before we do, just one more thing. As the chairman, Mr. Holstrom will introduce each speaker on the agenda. If we have a speaker, he'll turn to that speaker to make it easier for the public to hear this. And after that speaker concludes their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions, because he won't be able to see necessarily if you raise your hand. So he will just go and ask around the room. And if someone raises their hand, Mr. Chair, I can let you know that one of the members has raised their hand, just in case. We ask each member to speak clearly and in a way that helps us generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. So I believe that's it. And finally, the last piece here is when you participate remotely, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. That is a requirement even under the new state law. Okay, so I'm turning it over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Julie. The first thing we have on the agenda for tonight is the town manager's evaluation. Prior to that, I'd like to move up item 7A under the town manager evaluation under town manager items.
So moved.
Second.
You have a so moved in a second.
So the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Carpenter.
Aye.
Mr. Berthium.
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty.
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich. Aye. And the chair votes yes. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to read the letter to you that we sent to Julie, and it was dated on April 8th of this year. Dear Julie, I am pleased to provide you with a summary of your evaluation by the Board of Selectmen. As you know, board members were to submit their completed evaluations with any written comments to me so that I could prepare a summary, cumulative scores, and a final overall score. All members on the board included some level of written comment, whether on the evaluation form or on a separate written summary. Again, I would like to acknowledge and thank you for the level and depth of detail in your self-evaluation. The additional information was especially useful and will become part of the record. This certainly was of assistance to me, and I would assume all board members in completing the evaluation. The evaluation was based on the approved evaluation form and 4 additional town manager goals. The average Board of Selectmen score for the evaluation form was 4.77 and ranged from 3.0 to a perfect 5.0. And the average score for the 4 goals was 4.8 and ranged from 4 to a perfect 5.0. Individual selectmen scores were Mr. Holstrom 5, Mr. Carpenter 3.97, Mrs. Goodrich 5, Mr. Berthium 5, and Mr. LaLiberty 4.97, for a range of 3.97 to a high of a perfect 5.0. Julie, I'm pleased to share with you an overall performance review score of 4.785. The public evaluation has been scheduled for the April 13th, 2020 meeting. I'm sure I speak for the entire board when I say I look forward to this meeting so all members can publicly acknowledge your hard work and dedication. Congratulations on your excellent review, and thank you for your dedication to the town of Auburn. I look forward to working with you as we continue moving in a positive direction for the entire town. And best regards, Kenneth A. Holstrom, Chairman. And so now what I'll do is I'll open it up to board members, and we'll start with Mr. Carpenter, and we'll go right down the row.
Okay. As is past custom, I don't comment on the evaluation. I'm available to discuss it privately with the town manager if she has anything that she would like to discuss with me. Thank you.
Mr. Berthium.
Okay, I just want to say that it's been a pleasure again this year to work with Julie and everything that she's done and all of our staff. Always have the utmost confidence in everything that she and her staff are doing, and basically, you know, with that confidence, I know that she's doing what's best for the town of Auburn. I appreciate that. I appreciate that she's always available when we call for questioning, easily explains things when we have to get things detailed a little further than we get for notes. And it's just, again, she got perfect fives from me because of the way she handles herself, handles her staff, and basically makes it easy for us as a select board to do our job. So I just thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Berthium. Mr. LaLiberty.
Thank you. I don't want to say too much more than I already said in the evaluation or repeat myself, so I just want to add a thank you to the town manager for all of her work during this national and global crisis. I think that her response has been well above what we could have expected for everything going on, and it's really, I think, made me feel better about Auburn's position, and I think it's made a lot of the residents feel better about Auburn. So that couldn't be factored into the evaluation, and I wish it could have been, because the response has been fantastic. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do have one page to read, and I did send it to the town manager and request that these comments be made part of the permanent record. So here I will begin. After thoughtful consideration of each component of our formal evaluation, I have decided to rate the town manager's performance over the past year as distinguished in all categories. It is my feeling that Mrs. Jacobson has continued her exemplary performance, going above and beyond standards in most all areas. As I have said previously, we do not merely have a competent manager in Mrs. Jacobson. We have a consummate professional whose advice and input is sought by municipal officials statewide, as well as the executive branch, legislative branch, and Mass Municipal Association, to name a few. Once again, I would like to note the level of detail and depth in Mrs. Jacobson's self-evaluation. This detailed information was helpful in properly completing the evaluation. I would request that the self-evaluation be made part of the public record and that the self-evaluation be posted on the town's website. While at this point I would normally go through the entire evaluation item by item, I feel my scores speak for themselves, and it is not necessary to do so to show my strong support and approval. Unfortunately, we find ourselves in the middle of a global health crisis. Out of respect for the government guidelines that have been given and the need for Mrs. Jacobson to lead our community through this, I shall be brief. Our community is facing a health crisis that requires skilled and adept leadership to navigate. Once again, Mrs. Jacobson has stepped up to the plate and demonstrated that she is the leader this community needs for the long term. Her wisdom, calmness, insight, and compassion make a difference not only to our town employees, but to our residents in these challenging and difficult days. While select boards such as ours bring on a town manager or other municipal leaders, we often wonder how they will be in a crisis. Here in Auburn, we know that our town manager has what it takes to keep our town functioning and whole against the worst of circumstances. We saw it when she led us through the horrific tragedy of the murder of Officer Ron Tarantino, and now through this global health crisis and unprecedented time. I and so many others will be forever grateful for her steady hand during such difficult times, and I'm proud to rate her performance this year as distinguished. Respectfully submitted, Julie Lynn Goodrich, member, Auburn Board of Selectmen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Goodrich, and thank you all to the board members for all their comments. And for me, Julie, thank you. I'm just sorry I'm not there to give you a great big hug and a great handshake, because you've done the job. You've been great, and I will tell everybody that I have continued to give you a distinguished mark for all of your evaluations. You've exceeded what was expected of you, and we have come so far. We are envied by many, and because of your leadership, your direction, your team, you put the town on the #1 spot. And I can't say thank you enough, Julie, for all that you do. And I would like to thank all of our employees, our town department heads, all of our boards, commissions, committees, and mostly important, our volunteers. Thank you all for all you do, because working under Julie Jacobson, it's a real pleasure to work under a real professional and a real leader. Julie, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all. Mr. Chair, if I can, I want to thank each and every one of you for your support throughout the year, and certainly, especially the last few weeks, it has absolutely been a challenge. And I think as a community, we've all come together in a spirit of collaboration to come up with some great ideas and unique ways that we can serve this community and get us through this crisis. And I know we'll get through it. We'll not quite look the same when it's over, I'm sure. Nobody in the world will, but something none of us ever anticipated. So I just want to use the opportunity to thank all of you, because you've been supportive and had some great ideas, and please keep the ideas coming. You know, this is an ongoing process. It's fluid. We're going to have to keep doing things to adapt as orders come out and things change. And likewise, I want to make sure that, obviously, I thank all the employees, and I can't thank everyone by name, but I want to thank Ed Kazanovich, our Assistant Town Manager and Chief Financial Officer, for everything he does, day in, day out, all the time. Eddie is always there, has always been there. He does a phenomenal job, and he's a #1, #2, so I don't even like to say a #2, because in my book, he's a #1. He's phenomenal, and I couldn't do it without him. We make a great team. We're getting through this together. We're a little bruised with the COVID, but Eddie, thank you. And likewise to the entire management team. We have a phenomenal management team, phenomenal department heads, division heads. They've really shown what true professionals they are during this crisis. You know, I've known they're professionals for all the years I've been here. I just finished 9 years here, and I know that we couldn't be luckier with the team that we have, but it really does take a tragedy and a challenge like we're facing now for people's true colors to come through, and what's come through is even more outstanding than anyone would ever realize. These employees are dedicated, they're extraordinary. They've been there day in and day out, putting themselves and their families at risk to help serve this community, and I thank them for it. Again, not just for what we've gone through in the last month, but certainly for the last year, for everything. So all of the goals and everything that we accomplished, it was really a team effort. And likewise, I want to thank town meeting members. They've been great. Town meeting, you know, we have a great town meeting. We're going to be taking a vote on it soon to postpone it, I believe, but town meeting has been terrific to town administration. We have some really engaged members who've reached out to us a lot. We've got phenomenal boards and commissions, and then last but not least, just all the employees, not just the management team, but just our employees in general. Can't say enough for them. The work they do behind the scenes is truly extraordinary. So thank you. I want to thank everybody. I always say it, but I can't do this by myself. Wouldn't want to do this by myself. And it really does take a village, and I think Auburn has an incredible village. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julie. Julie, you've been proactive with everything, and that's why I think we've gone so far. But I'm going to turn around and say thank you to Eddie also for all his work when you were away on vacation, and you had told me perfectly that how can a world change in 5 days when you were away on vacation? Well, Eddie stepped up. He did the job. He organized and got the ball rolling, and I think Auburn's as good a shape as we are now because of the way he initiated and the way the two of you have worked on and followed through. So we have some great programs, and, well, hopefully we'll have a lot of help for people that need it, but hopefully we don't have to help them, that we can make it on our own. But again, thank you all. Okay, the next thing we have tonight is under the Board of Selectmen meetings, general items. Vote to postpone the annual town meeting from May 5th, 2020 to June 2nd, 2020. And I'll turn that over to Julie for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you may know, a new law was passed that enabled boards of selectmen to postpone a town meeting from, as long as it's held prior to June 30th, you can take a vote to do that. If the governor were to extend his stay-at-home orders, which right now expire on May 4th, if he were to extend those past June 30th, then the board at that point would be able to take a vote to extend town meeting past June 30th. So in consultation with Ed Kazanovich, the CFO, just regarding the budget and what might work out best for Ed and his team to get everything ready, we are recommending that we postpone it from May 5th to June 2nd. Now, May 5th, again, it's one day after the governor's order to stay-at-home order expires. I don't think it's appropriate, nor is it wise, to ask people to come together in a meeting one day later after an order expires. And again, that may be extended anyway. So at this point, we are recommending the June 2nd date. And just for a matter of technical, logistical information, once the board votes to change the date, and once the meeting has been, the warrant has been posted, at that point, the moderator can extend it. So if we get that close to the June 2nd date, and we've already sent out the warrants, at that point, we don't have to worry about the board having a meeting and getting here in time to postpone it. At that point, under the law, the moderator can extend it out after the meeting's been posted. Until such time, the board could come back and take another vote, as long as we don't postpone the warrant. Post the warrant. So right now, we are recommending this June 2nd. We'd like to get this done. We're looking at various ways to hold town meeting, and that would include still advisory, social distancing, we're assuming at that point, maybe making masks available, maybe holding it in potentially the gymnasium at the high school instead of in the auditorium, where we could spread out even a little bit further. And I would also tell the board that as of 2 days ago, legislation actually was filed. I notified the board that it may be filed. Legislation was filed to enable boards of selectmen to reduce the quorum. Right now, it's just legislation. I'll keep you informed, but at some point, that legislation may pass, which would give your body the opportunity to come in and reduce a quorum, which would further restrict how many people would come to town meeting. So with that being said, for now, we're hoping we can hold it on June 2nd, and we can keep you all informed, and certainly you keep us informed if you're concerned about that date, and we'll look at revising it. So, Mr. Chair, that's the explanation for it.
Mr. Chair?
Great. Well,
Mr. Berthium has a question. I'm sorry, you can't see. Mr. Berthium has a question.
Mr. Chair, this is Lionel Berthium.
Mr. Berthium.
I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen, pursuant to the authority granted it by Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 9, delay the Auburn annual town meeting from Tuesday, May 5th, 2020 to Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Liberty, second. Now you need a roll call vote, Mr. Chair.
Right. Are there any questions or comments? Being none, Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Berthium?
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty?
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you all. Next we have on the agenda a vote to approve the annual town meeting warrant. And I'll turn that back over to Julie.
Yes, so this evening, you have before you the warrant that was prepared in anticipation of a May 5th town meeting. The warrant will not change just because we're moving the date to June 2nd. So it is the same warrant. What you may see change at some point in the warrant, if the election that's currently scheduled for May 19th changes, we may have to make a change to the warrant, because as you know, at the end of the warrant, is the announcement about the election and the date of the election. So if that date were to change, we would do one of two things. We would amend this warrant, which would be an insignificant change. It would just change the date at the back of it. Or we would split the warrant, so you'd have one warrant just for town meeting items and a completely separate warrant for the election. So that would be the only thing that would potentially change. So this evening, we are asking the board to approve the warrant for purposes of having us move forward and getting it printed and prepared. As you know, it's a pretty large booklet. We send it to the printer. We have to include all of the budget information and everything else in it and get it ready to be posted a minimum of 1 week before, our bylaws require 1 week before the June 2nd date. The board would not necessarily have to take a position this evening on every article, but if you could approve of the warrant being forwarded on for printing. I know the board had approved tentatively the warrant maybe a month or two ago to be sent to the town council for review. And since that time, as you'll notice, a number of articles have been removed. We felt, given the situation with the COVID, given the fact it may be difficult to get a quorum, we didn't want to have articles on there that were not truly necessary, so we kept the articles on that were necessary to doing our business and establishing a budget and the standardized items that you need to have on your annual town meeting. So it's down maybe 6 items from what you initially saw. So none of the zoning articles are on there. And there are a couple of other green community items that are not on there as well. So, Mr. Chair, you can vote to approve of the warrant, and at a later date, if you want to go through each warrant article, we could, as it gets closer to that June 2nd, maybe we'll have a regular meeting again where everyone will be in the room and you can have an easier dialogue on it. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to just leave it to the board and see what they want to do. I do want to transmit this so we can get it printed and get it going, but what's the board's wishes for recommending their position on it? Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Dan. I would just prefer that we approve it, and then at a later date, we go through it, just in case there are any further revisions that might need to happen, and even if there's more information that might come through.
Okay. Is there anybody else got any comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Tristan.
No, Tristan is speaking. It's a little hard for you to hear.
Sorry, I was just going to say that I would agree with Mr. Carpenter.
All right, that's great. Well, then let's take entertain a motion for the annual town meeting warrant then.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dan. I'll make a motion that we approve the town warrant.
I'll second.
Is there a second?
Yes, Tristan seconded.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Being none, Mr. Carpenter.
Aye.
Mr. Berthium.
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty.
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes. Thank you. Okay, in the packets again we have the vote on the 2020 annual secondhand junk licenses renewals. And we have a list in there, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, this is Lionel. I'll make a motion that we approve the license renewals, provided that all applicable requirements of the state and town and any of its departments, boards, and commissions have been fulfilled. Said licenses are subject to all the conditions stated upon them. Failure to comply with any and all the conditions shall invalidate the licenses and render them null and void.
Is there a second?
This is Dan, Mr. Chairman. I'll second that.
Okay. Before we vote, you do have the list of 3, and they have met with the DCG, and there is no concerns that or have any special requirements from those locations. So I want to just be sure that the board is aware of that. And so the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Being none, Mr. Carpenter.
Aye.
Mr. Berthew.
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty.
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes. Okay, thank you. In front of us now we have some gift acceptances from the Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A. And what I'll do is I will, to help us expedite this, through the Fire and Rescue Department, there's $290. I'll read them as I go. White Companies Charitable Trust in memory of Keith Arsenault, $200. Stephen and Kara Donovan in memory of Keith Arsenault, $50. Betty Jean Gressick in memory of Keith Arsenault, $30. And Paul and Ella McLaughlin in memory of Keith Arsenault, $10. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Dan. I would make a motion that we accept with gratitude and express our thanks to the family for designating the Fire Department Gift Fund as a source to honor their loved one.
Mr.
Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, this is Lionel. I'll second that.
So the motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Being none, Mr. Carpenter.
Aye.
Mr. Berthew?
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty?
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich?
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes. Thank you. Okay, now we move down. There's no proclamations or recognitions required. Request to vote the Board of Selectmen to waive a portion of the permit fees for Penrose Properties for the redevelopment project of the former Mary D. Stone Elementary School. And you do have that letter in front of you, and I will turn that over to Julie.
Thank you very much. And Ed, please feel free to jump in at any point. As you can see, you have a letter in your packet from the developer, Penrose, and this is a specific request for the board to consider a fee waiver, not a full waiver, and it's a partial waiver of various fees, specifically building fees, for the Mary D. Stone project. And I just want to give the board background on this. First of all, town administration, myself, Ed Kazanovich, as speaking from a financial standpoint, and our building commissioner fully support this request. I will just give you some background information that might help you with your decision. So the $30,000 building, we are recommending a $30,000 building fee permit reduction for your vote this evening. That is not that we're asking to give a check to Penrose, so just to be clear, this is a fee reduction, meaning it will be a reduction off of the fees that we would be charging them. So this is absorbed internally. There's no check being passed, but the reason for this reduction is that there are quite a few reasons, actually. So the comprehensive permit that the developer filed with the state, as well as all of these applications that Penrose has filed with the state to receive funding from the state, is looking for some type of contribution or commitment from the town that shows that the town supports the affordable housing project and supports the senior housing development project. Many towns have a CPA fund, which is a Community Preservation Act. Auburn does not have that, so we don't have an affordable housing. We have no funds that we can take and put toward this. But the state is willing to acknowledge and accept if the town were to do some type of an in-kind contribution. So our in-kind contribution would be this $30,000 waiver of some of our building fees. We would still be taking in, the total building fees are estimated at $139,000. This is in addition to plumbing and electric fee permits that are estimated at approximately $40,000. And in addition to sewer and water connection fees, we will be looking to the Sewer Commission for a modest reduction in some of the sewer connection fees as well. The reason for this is clearly there's over $200,000 worth of fees. It was, we felt, a reasonable and responsible way to show the state that we were participating without actually using taxpayer dollars or using any other account that we just don't have. I would say that Penrose has participated in several other expenditures that were the town's responsibility, including work on the roof on both buildings. They've really been very good to work with. They've been excellent. I'll go farther than that. I'll say they're excellent. They've been a great developer to work with. As far as the state, our contribution of $30,000 in fee waivers is going toward a project of which the state is funding $18 million. So right now, the state has committed $18 million to the redevelopment of the Mary D. Stone School, and we are, again, looking for a fee reduction of $30,000, which is far less than a lot of other communities provide to such projects, but we feel it's a statement that we do want to participate. We would have been comfortable recommending more. We just felt in this time right now with COVID and everything going on, that $30,000, again, was a reasonable amount. We can still do the work. We're not taking funds away from any employees that need to get the job done. Any fees that we put out to any outside inspectors, we would still be collecting from Penrose and paying those fees direct to the inspectors. Just, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I just want to just mention a couple of other things. Penrose has also been a great partner. They've worked with the town on several areas that they really weren't required to do, including a community charrette a couple of years ago, where they engaged the Council on Aging, stakeholders in the community to try to get feedback on what we'd like to see in the project. We're working with them so that we can give them an easement, it is on the town meeting warrant, for some additional handicap parking, and then they would in turn be giving us an easement to use that handicap parking during games and times that maybe some of our disabled population would like to come in and see their children play on the field. And they're also working with us on creative ways to fund a new playground. They are giving us $25,000 toward playground improvements, but as you probably know, $25,000 won't replace the playground. So we're working with them to try to figure out how we can do that. There, right now, as you know, our affordable housing rate is at about 3.5% of the 10% in town. We do have a dire need for this. It's going to be a great project. We'd like to see it move forward. I know it's only $30,000 on a developer's overall budget, but again, it's a representation to the state and the developer that we're committed to this project, that we feel that this is a great project for the town. Once it's done, we'll have 55 units of desperately needed affordable housing for seniors, especially now in this environment. We foresee that there'll be an even more dire need for our seniors to identify housing that they can afford to live in. And I think the last thing I would just say is Penrose is trying to get their costs nailed down. They're working with their lender right now. The lender's trying to get all the documents in place for securing their loan on the project so that when they close on the building, hopefully, if we get town meeting, hopefully that gets done in June, we can then transfer the property to Penrose and they can close. So the lender is anticipating a mid-June to end of June closing, and they need to show a budget and what the costs are going to be in the budget. So they're working to get those costs nailed down over the next week or so and get this into the lender, who then has to go through all their underwriting. So it does take time. They have seen some increases in costs, and it's my understanding another $200,000 in costs from the utilities. And I don't know if it's COVID-related or not, but their costs are going up, and we're working with them however we can to try to identify some creative ways that hopefully they can address some of their cost needs, and we can fulfill our needs on our end as well. So just a reminder, this project has been supported by the Board of Selectmen, Town Meeting, the Planning Board, ZBA, the Elementary School Reuse Committee, the Council on Aging, the Historic Commission, and then the state through the Baker-Polito Administration, the Department of Housing and Community Development, the Mass Historic Commission, and our state and federal legislative delegation. Senator Moore, Representative Frost, and Congressman McGovern. So once again, we are asking the board for your support this evening of a partial waiver of $30,000 to demonstrate our commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And you know what? I'll echo your comments. I haven't had as close contact with you or the frequent contact that you have, but every time we've had a chance to speak with them, they have been above board, they've been forward, they've helped the town out, and even just a little thing of, the monies for just some of the playgrounds that they want to put behind the Mary D. Stone and the Julia Bancroft schools. They want to go forward with this, and they want to help, and now it's time to turn around and help them out a little bit. So I would be in 110% support of this. Is there any other members got any comments?
Mr. Chairman, do you want to go around by name and just ask, or
Yeah,
does anyone have
yeah, I
actually,
will
if
do
someone,
that.
no, no
Mr.
one else has a, nope, no one else has any comment yet, so I think you can go to a vote.
Okay, well then I will ask for a vote. Ask for a
Mr. Chair, this is...
motion, please.
Mr. Chair, this is Lionel. I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen tonight waive a portion in the amount of $30,000 of the permit fees for Penrose Properties for the redevelopment project at the former Mary D. Stone Elementary School. That's a small portion. It's a waiver.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Being none, Mr. Carpenter,
Yes?
Mr. Berthium,
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty,
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich,
Yes.
and the chairman votes yes. Thank you all.
No, and thank you all.
We'll
I'll
move on.
make sure to pass this along to the developer, so thank you, and we'll keep you informed as this process continues to move.
Thank you, Julie. The next we have is item 7C. It's a request the board to vote on authorized letters of support for the Massachusetts Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit applications for the Julia Bancroft School at 3 Vinyl Street and the Mary D. Stone School at 10 Church Street in Auburn. I'll turn that back over to you, Julie.
Thank you. So the board in the past has voted to allow the chair to sign a letter to request historic tax credits. I'm just coming back to you, basically, I think that vote would have covered this, but just as a surety and mostly as an information to let you know that they will be applying for additional tax credits for Mary D. Stone, even though they've already received them. Again, as the costs go up, as development costs go up, they're going to be seeking additional tax credits. And they're also moving forward to apply for the tax credits at Julia Bancroft. So we're hopefully that project stays online, given everything that's going on right now. So hopefully these things move forward. So there is a letter here, Mr. Chairman. If the board votes for you to sign, it's co-signed by yourself and me.
Okay. What's the wish of the board?
Mr. Chairman, this is Dan. I'll make a motion that we authorize the letter.
I'll second. This is Lionel.
Okay, so the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Being none, Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Berthium,
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty,
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich,
Yes.
and the chairman votes yes. Thank you all. Under 7D, a vote to authorize the Massachusetts Culvert Replacement Municipal Assistance Program grant application and to accept and expend the funds.
Through the chair?
Jacobson.
Yes, through the chair. We just received notice on this grant just the other day, as a matter of fact. I think it came in on Wednesday. And I would say that the Department of Public Works and their engineering department did a great job putting this together, so you would have the information in your packet on Friday. They got this whole grant actually completed, so we put the whole grant in for you to see it. So we are applying for $92,500 for additional engineering consultants to provide supplemental delineation of wetlands and a topographic survey, a boundary survey, and additional geotechnical investigations, including the geotechnical report. And this work is going to be based on the chosen bridge design alternative identified under our MVP program that we just finalized. And this is a culvert replacement grant application that is due by 5 p.m. on May 11th. So just not knowing when the board may meet again, we just wanted to make sure that we got this done in an appropriate amount of time. So we're asking for your support on this. There is no match that's required on this, so this is just a straight grant.
And will that grant handle all the work that has to be done?
It will handle the work that would have to be done on this particular area, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, is there any other discussion? Being none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, this is Lionel. I'll make a motion that we approve the application for grant funding under Massachusetts Culvert Replacement Municipal Assistance Program. If you want to know, it's in the amount of $92,500 to hire additional engineering consultation support to provide supplemental delineation of wetlands.
Okay, the motion been made. Is there a second?
This is Dan, Mr. Chairman, second.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I can jump in, I just want to make sure I was clear. When you asked if this would take care of everything, this doesn't actually take care of replacing the culvert. This is all the engineering work that needs to be done to design and replace the culvert. That would be, we would be seeking additional funding, hopefully, to do the actual culvert replacement after we get this preliminary work done.
Okay, great, thank you. So the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Being none, Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Berthium.
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty.
Yes.
Mrs. Goodrich.
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes. Thank you. And under 7E, notice of adoption of local options under sections 10 and 11 of Chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020 regarding due dates of real and personal property tax bills and applications for exemptions and waiver of interest on certain late payments. Ms. Jacobson.
Sure, and I'm going to have the CFO jump in as well, because I just want to acknowledge Ed and his team for meeting and working on this. The law just passed, I believe, 2 Fridays ago. The governor signed into law the ability for municipalities to exercise certain local options to extend tax dates for both fees, waiver of fees, and acceptance of taxes. So under the charter and under this law, the CEO has the ability to exercise that option, so I'm just notifying the board. We did notify the public. We did a code red call on Friday as well. Ed, do you want to explain anything about this as far as the dates? It's pretty self-explanatory.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So the treasurer and the chief assessor and I met, and we began discussions regarding this option. We believe this is the right thing to do for our citizens of our community, given the struggles that everyone has endured and will continue to, as long as this virus is continuing to peak. And for a period of time, we know people are going to be unemployed and they're going to be facing some difficult times. This offers our citizens an opportunity for us to forgive late payments on taxes, including demands for real estate, personal property, trash, motor vehicle, and sewer billing. Under the law, we're allowed to defer the due date, which we did not do, from June 1st from May 1st to June 1st. But what we are doing is we are through June 30th, if any bills have not been paid, wherefore we're not going to charge anyone any interest charges or demand fees as a result of a late payment. And we didn't do the deferral on the due date only because it makes matters complex as it applies to next fiscal year. In essence, we're doing the same thing by waiving these fees through June 30th. So hopefully our citizens, through a code red call, will understand that they have this option if they choose to exercise it. But certainly it's a little something we can give back to our residents by duly approving this local option.
Well, thank you, Eddie. And you know what? It goes back to the beginning of this meeting or the evaluation. The town administration has been proactive in a lot of things, and with Julie being involved with a lot of the legislative branch signatures, bringing that information back, and then getting a better understanding of it brings it forward to our residents, and they all benefit. And it's a plus, and I want to say thank you, and I would support this. Is there anybody else got any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, if you'll allow.
Yes.
I was just wondering if it would be possible to extend the deadline further if, for whatever reason, things do not improve nationally and locally with regard to the crisis, if it was possible to go beyond June 30th. Hopefully we won't have to, but just in that event.
Mr. Chair, if I may, and Ed, jump in. Under the new law, the language in the law is that the waiver of interest and other penalty for late payment for any bill with a due date on or after March 10th, where payment is made on or after its respective due date, but not before June 30th. So it does not permit the waiver of interest and penalties regarding bills with due dates before then, and it does not allow us to extend it past June 30th. So that's the current law. To your point, will this change? Possibly, if this was still happening at the end of June, the legislature may take that on. But right now, the intent is to get all of the revenues collected in this current fiscal year. So the state really didn't want, and DOR really didn't want it to go past June 30th, which made sense. We're still operating. We're still fully functional. We still have to get our services paid for. So we need those revenues coming in from the taxes in this current fiscal year. So right now, that's not allowed under the law.
Okay. Has anybody else got any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, this is Lionel. I was just wondering, and not trying to put Mr. Kazanovich on at the head here, but do we know approximately what our income is per month with demands and interest here in town?
Julie? Eddie?
Delano, I had a hard time hearing you. Did you say, do we know roughly how much interest we're going to lose?
Well, we wouldn't know what we're going to lose because we haven't lost it yet, but on average in past years, do we have an approximate of what our monthly income is on interest and demands for unpaid bills?
I would have to take a look to see how much of that revenue came in roughly the last quarter of the fiscal year. So it allows us to forgive it from March 10th forward. That represents roughly 1/4 of the year. I know demand fees alone, we collect about $76,000. So if we do the math, that's probably about a little shy of $20,000.
Okay, thank you.
Just on the demand. Now, these times are unprecedented only because we know our collection rate, which is normally high at about 96%, during that period of time is going to be diminished because a lot of people don't have the ability to pay. So it's really hard to gauge only because our collection rate is going to fall off at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Carpenter had a question.
Yes, actually.
Yes, Dan.
Would a motion be in order to send a letter of gratitude to the governor and to our legislative delegations because, they've been working very diligently in addition to the staff at the local level here, and they certainly get a lot of negative feedback, so it would be nice if they might get some positive feedback every now and again. So if it would be appropriate, I would be happy to make that motion for your signature or everybody's signature, depending on.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Berthium.
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty.
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich?
Yes.
And the chairman votes yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Okay.
just clarify, just so I know for the minutes as well, so was that vote for the motion to send a letter to the governor and the legislative delegation, or was that combined? I guess it would be combined, to send letters to the governor and the legislative delegation to thank them for the work on their legislation in general and what they've done for the towns. Okay, I just want to make sure you're clear. I can help work with you to draft something like that for the board's review. And also,
That'd be great.
I want to thank again Ed and his team. These laws have been coming down so quickly, and they've been passed with rapid speed, and it's hard to keep up sometimes with it all. We start going in one direction on one day, and then we get another order or law changes, and we move another direction. So I want to thank Ed's team, because most of this has a financial impact. So his team has worked really hard to try to keep up with all this and make sure that the residents of this community are able to take advantage of any relief that's offered to us. So thanks, Eddie, and thanks for the team.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have no tabled items. Have any of the board members got anything?
Mr. Chairman, can I say, I'm sorry, Doreen does. I don't know if you can see. There.
Yes, Mrs. Goodrich.
I just wanted to thank the chairman and the town manager for putting this meeting together. There certainly are trying times, and I think it went very well. It was important business we conducted, so thank you for setting me up for this remote meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Has
for...
anybody else got anything?
If I can, it's not in the agenda packet because we kind of got all this launched last week, but just a note to the residents who's ever watching this. We do have a COVID-19 website, a page on our website that's specific to COVID-19. You can get all the information you need, public health, all the governor's orders, legislation that's passed, updates from the town, information on some of our programs, where to go for help. So I just want to let people know you can go to auburnguide.com, and on the home page, look toward the bottom, it says coronavirus information and health alerts, and then we have an entire page. We also last week launched a program called Auburn Cares, and Eddie and I worked really hard on this program with various department heads who were involved, and the school superintendent. Want to thank her as well. So Auburn Cares, I believe that was Eddie's. Eddie, you came up with our Seniors Matter. We were coming up with acronyms to try to stick, so it was great. So Auburn Cares stands for Community Assistance Response Effort, and under that we have two programs that we launched. One is Our Seniors Matter, and the other is the Auburn Connection. So just so the public knows, this is on our website. Our Seniors Matter is a program where we are reaching out to all of the seniors that we can in the community. We don't necessarily have everyone's phone number, so we're working on that. We have employees calling seniors to just check on them, make sure they're okay, and if they have any questions or need access to resources, we've provided lists of resources to them. They have a script, so we don't want seniors to be nervous when you get a call. It truly is the government calling to check on you, nothing more. We just want to make sure you're okay and you have access to services if they're out there. I want to thank the school superintendent as well, because she is involving the teachers in it this week. So Ed provided a list to her today, and the teachers will be starting to make those calls as well. We're also going to be working with the teachers to try to take the census list from 2019 from the town clerk, which has addresses but no phone numbers, and have phone numbers attached to that. That is a list of 5,000 people. So this is a big process. As we're going through it, we appreciate everyone's patience, but we hope that with an army of us working together on this to fight this battle and call these seniors, we can get this done. So that's the first program. Second program, again, it's on our website. It's called Auburn Connection, and we'll be setting up a hotline. Until that is set up, you can call the town manager and Board of Selectmen's number, same number, 508-832-7720. It is manned 8 to 4. And this is not for emergency calls, but this is for calls from residents of all ages, not just seniors, looking for potential resources. We can give you information on Meals on Wheels, food pantries, Department of Transitional Assistance, common questions we should be able to answer for you. If we can't, we'll get back to you with the information. And to the board, we're also working on setting up a specific hotline. Mike Marino, our IT director, has been working really hard on all of this, along with Chris Hugo, on the ability to do everything remotely, but we're trying to get a new telephone number that people can call, and we've put in an application to get a number 832 CARES. So CARES would be the number, it's affiliated with the numbers, but 832 CARES. So as of today, the number was available. We're working hard to get it. Mike's trying to get everything put together. So once we launch that, we will let you all know. But until then, we want the public to know you can call us. We are working. Your government's here. Your Board of Selectmen are working. We're all available to take calls and help whomever needs it. We have received some calls from residents who just want to help, and we're putting together a list of volunteers. I will say we can't have residents calling our seniors at this point because we have some sensitive information that we wouldn't be sharing outside of the office, but certainly we foresee the potential need maybe in the future, depending on if we get more people signed up for Meals on Wheels or other types of programs that we might need residents to help us do that. It all depends on the demand we get from these calls. So we want to thank everyone who's reached out to see what they can do to help. I think everyone feels the same way. Everyone wants to help, and no one really knows how. And it's new to all of us. We're all working our way through it. So, again, I really want to thank Ed and all the department heads, because, you know, nights, days, weekends, we're all trying to figure out what we can do to help this community. So keep the ideas coming, and we appreciate all of your support in this time for us. And please keep your public safety responders, your emergency personnel, our Department of Health. You know, we have to keep essential services going, animal control, DPW. Please keep them all in thoughts and prayers as they're out there every day working for the community. We want to remember them.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you very much. And I just have one thing that I just want to say thank you to you and the administration and all of our employees, plus volunteers. Everybody's just kind of stepped up and been available to do anything that has to be done. And that's what Auburn makes it a special place, and that we have the people that want to step in and help, and those people that need the help, you know, please ask for it. And again, thank you very much. I want everybody out there to be safe. It's, you know, we're listening to it. We don't know, it changes day to day. We want to be sure that everybody stays safe, and just please be careful out there. We have minutes from February 24th. Anybody got any questions, comments, errors, omissions? Being none, I'll accept them as presented. And on that note, we've had a very successful meeting. Thank you all very much for being here tonight and taking part. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dan. Motion to adjourn.
This is Lionel, second.
Is there a second?
Lionel, second.
All those in favor? Okay.
Also.
Roll call.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Berthium?
Aye.
Mr. LaLiberty?
Aye.
Mrs. Goodrich? And the chairman votes yes. Thank you and good night.
Thanks. Good night. Bye.